What's up guys, it's Matt here from Reid Performance Gymnastics, here to talk to you today about handstand push-ups. I'm going to take you through the progressions from not being able to do a handstand all the way up to being able to do a strict freestanding handstand push-up. Now the basis of this, we're going to need a really strong handstand. Now don't worry if you haven't got that, because there's no reason why you can't learn and progress the push strength while you're learning that handstand. That handstand will be a separate video though, so keep your eyes out for that. First thing we're going to touch on is a headstand. Now the headstand is a great way of working out where your body's going to go when you're upside down without actually balancing in a full handstand, and it's also got some really cool progressions we can work from to get us started with these handstand push-ups. So what do we care about in the headstand? We're going to use the top of the head on the floor. We want to try and make a triangle with your head and your hands. Elbows are going to stay tucked in, and we're going to try and get the hips right over the top. If you can extend your legs as well, that's perfect. Hands on the floor, fingers pointed forwards, head in front of the hands, hips up, straight the legs if you can. Elbows stay tucked in, not splayed out. That's your headstand. So once we've got that headstand, we can start building this pressing strength overhead. So what we're going to do is we're going to progress from a horizontal push in a push-up, and then we're just going to keep lifting the hips up and lifting the hips up until we're over the top into a vertical push, and then we're going to make that harder and harder and harder until we're in a full handstand and we're balancing. So like I say, we're going to take the press up, and then we're going to move up from there. So press up itself, stay nice and tight in the body, elbows are going to stay tucked in, not splayed out here, track with the body, and press back up. If you struggle with the press up, build the press up strength. We're only going to make it harder from here. So from that press up position, we're going to walk the feet in a little bit, stick the bum up, and again we're going to use that headstand position that we just looked at. We're going to go head forward in the hands, elbows tracking back, touch the floor, and press back up. And that is your pike handstand push-up. The idea then, once we've got that pike handstand push-up, is we try and get the hips more and more over, and we do that by lifting the feet up. So take a box, chair, sofa, whatever you've got handy. We're just going to start lifting the feet up. Feet go up on the box, same position with the rest of the body. We try and get everything nice and in line, and same again, aiming for that headstand position at the bottom, elbows in, head in front of the hands, pressing back up, and fully extend to finish. Really want to make sure when you finish every rep, you're opening the shoulders up fully. You don't want to finish reps here and just be pressing to here, because when you get up into that handstand, it's not going to be beneficial for you. The finish position for the handstand is up here. So whether you're doing your pike, your box with your raised feet, whatever you're doing, finish with your arms pressed up, open as far as you can. And that's going to transfer best to that handstand. Alternatively, to stepping the feet up to making it harder, we can alter that a little bit and step hands up. So what that will do is increase the range of motion that we're going through in this push-up. Ideally, we want to be able to push right from the shoulders all the way up. So if you've got the equipment to build that in, that's perfect. If you've got the strength to build that in, that's perfect. If you haven't got the strength, keep working on the lower ranges or the lower progressions, and then start stepping the hands up as and when you feel capable. So I'm going to take these dumbbells, just going to step my hands off the floor a little bit. Obviously you can step this up quite a lot more than just on dumbbells, but this is what I've got lying around. Same again, into that pike position, and then starting off with an open shoulder, head comes out, aiming for that headstand position again, elbows are in, a little bit further down this time, press back up and finish arms overhead. exactly the same as with the hands on the floor. We're just stepping the hands up a little bit, getting that bit of extra range of motion. So back to making the handstand push-up harder and harder, but with the hands on the floor, same range of motion. We're going to keep stepping the legs up higher and higher, getting more and more inverted. So we're going to go from the little box, we can go on something higher, like tumble track in the back, and we're going to end up in a wall facing strict handstand push-up. And we go there first because that's going to keep us in a better position than if we go straight to back against the wall. What happens when we go straight into back against the wall handstand push-ups is we round the back a lot and we get a completely different range and plane of motion as we're going through. The body, the torso is in an arch position, and the press is more like a bench press. What we want to do is stay in that dish position that we've had for all these other progressions. Keep that core tight, keep the back safe, elbows in, and progress that strength naturally all the way up to a completely straight handstand push-up that will just come in this sort of motion. We don't want to be arching that back excessively. So we do the wall facing handstand push-up first to make sure when we spin it round and we do a normal handstand push-up, we're still in that good position. So your wall facing handstand push-up, get yourself into a really good handstand. Squeeze your legs together straight, point your toes, try and keep in that nice dish position that we talked about. And then again, exactly the same cues as before, keeping the elbows in, aiming for that head in front of hands, headstand position, and then pressing back up. Cues are the same as before, it's just a harder progression because we're pressing all the body weight up. So for me, from the wall facing handstand push-up strict, the next progression is to do a strict freestanding handstand push-up. Now you need to be able to hold a handstand for this. It's one of the prerequisites. So if you can hold a handstand and you're strong enough to do a wall facing handstand push-up, you are likely strong enough and stable enough to do a strict handstand push-up. The reason I'm leaving out the back to the wall handstand push-up is for the reasons that I spoke about earlier. Tends to throw us out of position, the movement changes, and that's not what we want. So strict freestanding handstand push-up is your next one from there. Again, the movement cues are all the same. We're going to keep the elbows in, we're going to move the head forward of the hands, we're going to try and keep as tight as possible, dish position with the body, legs together straight, toes pointed, and then doing the exact same motion as we've done in all the other progressions. We're just going to balance at the same time. So jump up into that handstand, head forward of the hands, touch, and back up. So at any point of this progression, if you want to make it a little bit harder, increase the range of motion, or lift the legs up a little bit higher. If you get all the way to the point where you can do a strict freestanding handstand push-up, and you've not increased the range of motion by raising your hands up, then you're going to have to do that then, and it might be quite a big jump to try and increase that range of motion. So if you do it on your way up, lift your hands up in your pike handstand push-up, lift your hands up in your box handstand push-up, lift your hands up in your wall facing handstand push-up. When you get to the strict freestanding handstand push-up, you'll be able to do it on a bit of a higher block, which will be nice. So this section I'm calling accessory work, and I've purposefully put kipping into accessory work. You want to learn how to do the kip. It's a really cool way of getting more reps in, but it's not going to make you stronger in that full range of motion. You get better at kipping, you get higher out of that bottom position before you have to start pressing, and we're not building strength through that whole range of motion, which is ideal. So that being said, how are we going to kip? Kipping starts on the head. We're aiming to start in a coiled up position and then drive the feet up and press. So to learn that, we can start off in that headstand position again. And then just put the knees on the elbows and hold that headstand frog stand position. From there we can lift the head up because we want a bit of control, we want to be able to stabilise in this position because as soon as you start pressing, your head comes off the floor and we need to be stable. So you need to be able to go from frog stand with your knees on your elbows to frog stand balancing just on your hands. Once you can do the full frog stand, we're going to take the headstand frog stand and we're going to shoot the legs out, then press into front support. Get yourself comfortable with shooting the legs out first, then pressing. Then we're going to try and integrate the two. So that's going to look a little bit like this. Head on the floor, knees on the elbows, shoot the legs out, press into front support. Then join them both together, shoot the legs, press to front support. All we're going to do then is do this towards a wall and try and get the feet higher and higher up the wall until we can do a kip into front support with the legs high on the wall. So the way that's going to look, we're going to take that frog stand, headstand, knees on the elbows, might need a little lift off the elbows for this one, then kip up and press, catch your feet on the wall. Just a quick detour from that, you'll notice when I did it up to the wall, I lifted my knees off my elbows. What that does is just straighten the back up a little bit. If you're back rounded and you kip, you're really good at kipping out, but you're not good at kipping up. So we take that frog stand position and turn it into a more of a headstand position. Get the hips right up, but with the knees still coiled. So frog stand position, then we lift, we're coiled up in this, the back straight, and the knees are coiled, and we fire them up, and everything is then going upwards rather than away from the wall. So once you can do it up the wall, facing the wall, all you've got to do is spin it around. Use that lifting the hips up, lift your knees off your elbows so you're driving upwards, and then you're going to have to aim a little bit sort of towards the wall if you're doing it back facing the wall, so that you land in a handstand resting on the wall. Further you lean, the quicker you're going to hit the wall. The quicker you hit the wall, the less chance of being fully locked out before you hit that. And if you hit and you've got sticky trainers, that's going to be harder to press up than if you press and then touch the wall once you're fully extended. So like I said, I wanted to go through the kipping because it's quite a complex movement, but I don't want you to spend a lot of time working on that to try and gain strength in a handstand push-up. More reps in a kipping handstand push-up does not equal better handstand push-ups. More reps is a strict handstand push-up, elbows in, head in front of the hands, all those cues that we talked about, in a really good position will massively help your strict handstand push-ups, your kipping handstand push-ups, everything from push pressing in Olympic lifting, all of that, much more than if you just did kipping once. So the way that's going to look, we're going to take that frog stand, headstand, knees on the elbows, might need a little lift off the elbows for this one, then kip up and press, catch your feet on the wall. Just a quick detour from that, you'll notice when I did it up to the wall, I lifted my knees off my elbows. What that does is just straighten the back up a little bit. If you're back rounded and you kip, you're really good at kipping out, but you're not good at kipping up. So we take that frog stand position and turn it into a more of a headstand position. Get the hips right up, but with the knees still coiled. So frog stand position, then we lift, we're coiled up in this, the back straight, the knees are coiled, and we fire them up, and everything is then going upwards rather than away from the wall. So once you can do it up the wall, facing the wall, all you've got to do is spin it around. Use that lifting the hips up, lift your knees off your elbows so you're driving upwards, and then you're going to have to aim a little bit sort of towards the wall if you're doing it back facing the wall, so that you land in a handstand resting on the wall. The further you lean, the quicker you're going to hit the wall. The quicker you hit the wall, the less chance of being fully locked out before you hit that. And if you hit and you've got sticky trainers, that's going to be harder to press up than if you press and then touch the wall once you're fully extended. So like I said, I wanted to go through the kipping because it's quite a complex movement, but I don't want you to spend a lot of time working on that to try and gain strength in a handstand push-up. More reps in a kipping handstand push-up does not equal better handstand push-ups. More reps is a strict handstand push-up, elbows in, head in front of the hands, all those cues that we talked about, in a really good position will massively help your strict handstand push-ups, your kipping handstand push-ups, everything from push pressing in Olympic lifting, all of that, much more than if you just did kipping ones. So other accessory work we can do, we can take negative reps. These are really good for if you're stepping your hands up and increasing that range of motion. It's quite hard to get into that bottom range of motion. Make sure you put something comfortable down, get a cushion, get an ab mat where your head's going to land. When you step your hands up, really slow on that negative, keeping the elbows in, making sure you hold that good position, keeping in that dish position, elbows in, slow all the way down to the bottom. Don't let yourself drop when it gets difficult. Make sure you keep that tension on the whole time. Want to build the strength all the way down to the floor. Then you've got things like holds, isometric holds at different levels of the handstand push-up. Really good one is to come as far down as you can get, and just hold at that bottom position, maybe an inch off the floor with your head. Just hold that for as long as you can. Again, put yourself up and comfy down, because you're not going to press back out of that when you are knackered and you've been there for a while. Something that's often neglected with these things is pike mobility, so ability to fold yourself up in half. So if we are doing these pike handstand push-ups, the better your pike mobility is, the easier it's going to be to get those hips up without bending your legs. So we can do things like a standing pike hold, keeping the back flat, testing those hamstrings. We can do the same thing seated, legs out, straight together, toes pointed, reach up with your shoulders and then lean forward, grab something, pull it, stretch your hamstrings to really drill that movement pattern in and get some strength in the hip flexors to get us into that position. We can lean forward, do some compression raises, loads of pike compression work, pike stretches, and lengthening, strengthening your hamstrings and your hip flexors are going to be super useful for your handstand push-ups. The last thing I want to talk about is core stiffness. So you've heard of core strength, you know what that is. We can do reps of ab mat sit-ups, we can do reps of V-sits, we can do toes to bars, all that kind of stuff. But does that help us in a handstand? It does a little bit, but what we want to do is have a core strength all the way around, that we can hold onto these hips, control the legs, and what I'd call that is core stiffness. So we want to be able to hold in a single position, in a good position, as tight as we can. The tighter we can hold that position, the more things we can do with that position. So statically, if we're looking at a dish position on the floor, we can make that harder by turning that, invert it, let's go into a handstand, try and hold that dish position. It's going to be a lot harder to hold when we're upside down. So the more stiffness we can generate, the easier that handstand is going to be. And we're going to build that by being in pike position, arch position, and making sure we train the obliques on the side as well. One of the best ways to do that is I like to do a dish arch roll. So we're going to start in dish, arms overhead, legs together, straight, toes pointed, and from here, keeping the shoulders and the feet off the floor, roll through the side into arch, still keeping the shoulders and the feet off the floor. Spending time in those positions, rolling through those positions, strengthening those positions are all going to help make us this really tight trunk that we want. Control the legs, make it easier for us to balance when we're upside down. Cool, if you've learned something from this, if you're going to go away and work on it, if you've got more questions, whatever you want to know, I'm here. Get me on Reid Performance Gymnastics on Instagram, Reid Performance Gymnastics Facebook, message me, let me know how you're getting on, and definitely if you've got any questions, ping them over to me, I will respond. Love hearing from you guys. Enjoy whatever you're going to take from this session, and yeah, have a great time.